Oneness and Unity for 2019.
A great moment to express our faith.
Bomana Inmates celebrate Christmas. And Christmas around the world.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. Merry Christmas to you. This is Tuesday's news. Governor General Sebob Dadai released his official Christmas message, asking everyone to be reminded of the real meaning of Christmas. Sebob said the meaning of Christmas is captured in the words of the famous author, Roy Lessin. With their ears, the shepherds heard the glorious proclamation that the Saviour was born. With their eyes, they looked upon the Word who became flesh and dwelt among them. With their hearts, they rejoiced in the gift of God's amazing love. Sebob also said that this Christmas would be hard for his family with the loss of Lady Hannah at the beginning of the month, but also added that Christmas shows the incredible courage of mothers and wives in these difficult times. He wished everyone in Papua New Guinea a very Merry Christmas and a joy-filled New Year 2019. Christmas is certainly a time when people come together and share the faith peacefully. This was demonstrated last night with the choir and the theme in downtown Port Moresby. The St. Mary's Cathedral was packed with families who gathered to celebrate Vigil Mass for Christmas with the theme Nativity in the Lord.
We have been seeing and hearing Christmas celebrations happening all around us. The promotions in stores, or maybe the music that is airing right now on your FM radio. But what about the big churches in the city? I am here at the St. Mary's Cathedral in downtown Port Moresby, where the members of the Catholic community have gathered to celebrate their vigil for Christmas Mass. The St. Mary's Cathedral choir group beautifully sang Christmas carols, celebrating the birth of Jesus. Cardinal Sir John Ribat led the Mass with the theme Nativity in the Lord. In an interview after the Mass, Cardinal Ribat sends his Christmas message to all, stressing on oneness and unity amongst the congregation and the general public of Papua New Guinea.
So for that, when we hear of this, it's really a great moment to celebrate, a great moment to express our faith, a great moment really to thank God, because this would not happen without God's love for us. Because we did not deserve to be given a son like this, and the only son, his only son.
Cardinal Ribat said 2019 must be a year where Papua New Guineans should focus on how to work together in peace and harmony as a Christian country.
So as we focus into the new year, what are we looking at? And for me, I'm looking at something that while we look back on this year and seeing what we have done well and what we did not do well. Okay, this is a time to be able to focus on how can we improve on this when in the new year coming, 2019.
Cardinal Ribat also commended the initiative of his congregation and all other churches in the city for holding special service for Christmas. Rosemary Yambune, National EMTV News.
Christmas is a time to reflect on how we have spent the year, what we have achieved, and what we hope to achieve in the coming year. This was the message from a church leader of the Good News Christian Church, Philip Quim, when EMTV visited him and his congregation. He said the government must invest more in churches to see prosperity.
The Good News Christian Church is an in-house fellowship group based in Gereu in the nation's capital. Prior to his Christmas message, church leader Philip Quim said a challenge that most church faces is learn to build church. And as a Christian country, the government must partner with the churches to help them build proper churches for fellowships and strengthen faith.
Along all Narbla church partners, churches, as long as you may lotu long Christ, Jesus Christ. You don't need long criticize him, Narbla, judge him, Narbla. But you become a body belong belong Jesus Christ. Encourage him nadla na give him some good pla ting stop long and you make him this pla walk belong Christ go also more good pla more.
The church leader said in places where churches are present, there is normalcy and order in the society. And though Papua New Guinea is not yet fully developed, the country will see real development if the government invests in the Word of God. He also urges youths to refrain from bad habits and celebrate this festive season in good spirit.
But want him something now, Christmas he bring him. Want him something, Jesus he bring him. Life is up good all time. Now how is that possible? Life belong Jesus Christ. Real. So message now me like Lucien. That is real development. That is the development Papua New Guinea must kiss him.
But despite the challenges faced by the Good News Christian Church, the church focus more on good things they have achieved this year. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
A recent panel discussion on the topic of Manus refugees brought together government, church, students, refugees and Papua New Guineans in an open discussion at the Catholic Bishops' Conference in Port Moresby. Bishop of Bougainville, Bernard Onabali, gave a powerful intervention and suggested a Christmas deadline since this will be the refugees' 6th Christmas in PNG. However, the promised meetings with the Prime Minister and the Australian High Commissioner never materialized due to the proceedings of APEC. Father Ambrose Pereira said offices were closed and everyone had gone home for the holidays, while over 400 refugees struggled to gain access to health and services that are due to them. The past year has been a constant interaction with refugees from Sri Lanka, Iran, Iraq, Syria and a number of other countries. Some are now resettled, but the majority still remain here in Papua New Guinea. Amongst the celebrations of Christmas throughout the country, there were also celebrations for babies who were born on this special day. The Pacific International Hospital in Port Moresby saw the birth of Lyle Debro, the only baby born early this morning at the hospital.
Lyle Debrewer is the only Christmas baby born today at the Pacific International Hospital. Born at 4:35 a.m. this morning with a weight of 3.1 kg, this baby boy was safely delivered by experienced midwives who ensured the safe delivery of the firstborn son of Georgia Fox and Michael Debrewer. First-time mother Georgia did not expect her son to be born today.
Just overwhelmed. Was hoping he would come after or before, but
Christmas, but we got him on Christmas.
Lyle's father, Michael, expressed his excitement about the birth of his son.
Really happy that he's come out safe and sound and with no problems. Yeah, nice and healthy.
Georgia was admitted yesterday afternoon and safely gave birth to Lyle without major complications. The midwife who delivered the baby early this morning was not in at the time of the interview. However, senior midwife Kila Wala Tamate, who helped to nurse the baby, described that there were minor complications with the baby before birth.
The baby had a bit of little, complication, say past mechanism while still in the womb. And at birth, the midwife said the cord was around the neck ×4, but anyway, the midwife was an expert, so she attended the baby, resuscitated, and it was stable after a few minutes.
Senior midwife Tamate says that the smooth delivery of the baby was mostly due to the cooperation and responsiveness of the mother.
She did very well. It was straightforward. We didn't have much difficulty like other first-time mothers because I actually did co-chair when she came to the ward yesterday, so I did my part as a midwife to coach the first-time mother, what to expect and how to cope up. So it was very well done.
With the birth of Lyle, his parents, Georgia and Michael, have decided to move to Mount Hagen to start their life together as a new family.
She's in Moresby at the moment and I live up in Hagen, so we'll both be heading back to Hagen in 2 weeks to settle down.
Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News on this Christmas Day. Stay tuned, we have more coming up after these short messages. Welcome back to National MTV News. Whilst Christmas Eve celebrations in Port Moresby were in full swing last night, the police were out in patrol on the usual Christmas operations. Some of the areas in which the police patrolled last night included 6 Mile and East Boroko. The police Christmas operations were smooth except for a few hiccups. One of them, where police opened fire on a taxi driver who escaped from a road checkpoint. Attempts at pursuing the taxi driver were unsuccessful. So far, compared to last year, the police Christmas Eve operations were successful and no major conflicts or accidents were reported in the areas where police patrolled. Since the inception of his Facebook page in 2014, current job vacancies repost with LT, Lazarus Toa, has assisted over 400 individuals gain full-time employment. Many have benefited from this page with guidelines on how to construct CVs, cover letters and prepare for interviews. This year, he was the Digital Young Man of Honor of the Year winner and also a Commonwealth Youth finalist. Toa, in his Christmas message, encourages everyone to be honest in whatever they do in life, whether they are employed or not.
To be honest, if we are unemployed and looking for a job, we must be honest at all times, meaning that apply for vacancies transparently through the right channel of processes and never be encouraged or be compromised or fall into temptation of getting a job through other means which is not right or which is not proper. And also, if you are employed, please be honest to yourself and to your job. Thank you very much for all your support and followings through my work, and I will continue to serve you in my own capacity to the best of my ability come the year 2019.
Samurai Moroa in Milne Bay is a challenging place to deliver goods and services. Local Member of Parliament Issy Henry Leonard told DDA members that 2018 has been tough for the political will and the district administration. In a recent DDA meeting, MP Leonard pointed out that its Clean Water Project, Church Support Initiative and Education remain key priority sectors. With the election petition case dismissed recently, the Samurai Moroa DDA hopes to pull its service delivery mechanism together for more work to begin in 2019.
Most of the communities reported of dry water sources and women having to walk long distances to find water, safe, clean drinking water. They raised a concern because of the fact that they need their children to be given a chance, an opportunity to further their education.
Today is Christmas Day. For Christians around the world, today is a day commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ. Inmates at Bomana Jail held a small church service to mark this day. They also took time out to sing Christmas carols and present theatrical items.
Everyone has their own special and unique way to celebrate Christmas. However, for detainees at Bomana prison camps, Christmas today was commemorated through a church service. The initial program started with praise and worship led by prisoners. Inmates from the women's division, minimum security units, high security units, officers and families were part of the small church ceremony service. Various items were also presented.
Going to see the King soon and very soon.
Everyone has a reason to celebrate this Christmas. United Pentecostal Assembly of PNG Reverend Jimmy One Piece has had prisoners to acknowledge Jesus Christ this festive season, as Christ is the only source to our needs.
Now, no blood is ground here. Man listen throne to come down. Born is a place and still a bagra again. Because every look at you, me, seen calabusi with me, seen binding with me, you may come up or say helpless, no hopeless. There is no hope in our lives. So this is King here. and we come down. That's why we have a reason to celebrate this Christmas.
Mr. Diufayeli, the jail commander of Bomana prison camp, also expressed gratitude for rehabilitation programs like NGO groups and churches to have initiated programs to help the inmates to change for better after leaving the camps.
Just like everybody, though the prisoners they have some of their privileges and rights taken away, we still have this opportunity and chance to do what we can to help them. It's a very challenging job to be a prison officer. In fact, it's very challenging when we have a large number of people from all walks of life coming together, living in one place.
Most of the inmates said being confined inside prison walls has made them to be better persons and than they were before. Female inmate Lucy Jacobs said she is happy to serve God while in prison and asked everyone to celebrate Christmas peacefully.
Because of Jesus, I am a changed person, not the same. But in Jesus, I am changed and I'm celebrating because of my water in here. The rehabilitation that they bring here at Bomana, I am happy and I enjoy my Christmas here.
Amanda Rimu, National EMTV News.
Christmas is for everyone, and even those behind bars have a reason to celebrate. Inmates from the Bomana prison facility outside Port Moresby spent their Christmas day in praise and worship. Jail Commander Diufayeli said church groups and rehabilitation programs have made a huge impact on the lives of prisoners, as most of them have changed for the better. Attending the church service today, EMTV News has also caught up with some inmates who do not have this Christmas to spend with their families. Each of them had a special message, Christmas, for their loved ones.
What we are doing basically to rehabilitate the prisoners, get them back on their feet and get them out back to the society. So basically that's what we are doing. And as I've said, it's a very, very difficult task.
Merry Christmas na happy new year ko line lo gara line lo morta na ausline.
I want to send my greetings to my families at Moresby and the Central Province, especially like Karuku, any Karuku, Meke or Karuku.
People mangilo geru tola pasi Merry Christmas, Happy New Year lo. All gara geru yet big plan purano stage 2.
Here with National EMTV News on this Christmas Day. When we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, Christians around the world are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ this Christmas. Here is what Pope Francis had to say to the faithful.
Pope Francis will celebrate Christmas Mass in St. Peter's Square and deliver his To the City and the World message. At Christmas Eve Mass in the Vatican, the Pope said too many people have turned away from helping others to focus on their own selfish desires.
Mankind became greedy and voracious. In our day, for many people, life's meaning is found in possessing and having an excess of material objects. An insatiable greed marks all human history, even today, when paradoxically, a few dine luxuriantly, while all too many go without the daily bread needed to survive.
Pope Francis has made helping the poor a big part of his mission. The Vatican says the Pope gave a Christmas gift to homeless people in Rome. A free medical clinic is now open in St. Peter's Square.
Thousands of pilgrims from all around the world have gathered in the West Bank town of Bethlehem, where it is believed Jesus was born. Crowds fill the church for the midnight mass. Many said this is a day of celebration, and they are hopeful the coming year will bring a respite to violence.
Well, the festivities have been going on since the early morning hour. There was this grand parade, a procession, as the Latin Patriarch, that's the head of the Catholic Church in Jerusalem, made his way to the Church of the Nativity. Right behind me, there were bagpipes, there were drums, trumpets leading the way. I've been told if Mary and Joseph were to come here, they would have had to have booked in advance because all the inns, all the hotels have been fully booked for a while. Thousands of tourists are coming here. Of course, the hot ticket is midnight mass. And I asked the priest, what is his his Christmas message to his congregation. He said it is one of love, of peace, of justice, and equality. And it has been a very difficult year here. Scores of Palestinians have been killed in Gaza during violent clashes along that border fence between Gaza and Israel. Scores of rockets have also been fired by Gazan militants inside of Israel. And at times it looked like we were on the verge of a war, but strong diplomatic efforts by the United Nations, by Egypt, really helped prevent something that could have escalated further. But for people here, they're hoping that there is peace going into 2019, that things will calm down. And that has really been the message. And we've been hearing Christmas carols here and really a joyous atmosphere as people celebrate Christmas.
To the U.S. now, the Federal Reserve was far from President Trump's only target as he turned to Twitter to air his grievances on Christmas Eve. He lashed out at the Democrats, the media, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, Republican Senator Bob Corker, and Special Envoy Brett McGurk. And all that was before noon local time.
We're going to have a shutdown. There's nothing we can do about that.
With the government shut down around him, President Trump has spent most of Christmas Eve on his phone and alone at the White House, the first president to spend the holidays in Washington since Bill and Hillary Clinton 18 years ago. The president hasn't been seen anywhere for 3 days, except on Twitter, where he has been making grievance the reason for the season. Tweeting, "I'm all alone, poor me, in the White House, waiting for Democrats to come back and make a deal on desperately needed border security." That message coming minutes before First Lady Melania Trump was seen departing Florida to return to the White House early because of the shutdown. Trump's demand for border wall funding has even prompted some Republicans to question whether the fight is all for show.
This is a made-up fight, so the president can look like he's fighting, but even if he wins, our borders are going to be insecure. It's a spectacle, and candidly, it's juvenile. The whole thing is juvenile.
Amid a government shutdown, the stock market crumbling, and turnover in his administration, the president is growing increasingly angry and isolated, according to the New York Times, taking little pleasure in his job as leader of the free world, spending less time with old friends, and telling the ones he does speak to that he feels totally and completely abandoned, the paper reports. With Congress gone until Thursday, hope seems slim that a compromise will be reached soon to reopen the government.
I think that is, it's very possible that this shutdown will go beyond the 28th and into the new Congress.
Even as the incoming acting chief of staff acknowledged that Trump's fight for a taxpayer-funded wall isn't exactly what he campaigned on.
None of that is Mexico paying for the wall, and let's just be technically, you and I both know that it cannot work exactly like that. I can't spend any money at the Office of Management and Budget. The Department of Homeland Security can't actually spend money from Mexico. We have to get it from the Treasury.
And for the last several days, President Trump has had virtually nothing on his schedule since the government shut down on Friday night. But today, the White House added a meeting with the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, who met with President Trump for over an hour about the border security and the wall. Meanwhile, Melania Trump has returned to Washington, so President Trump is home alone no more.
A U.S. military delegation will head to Turkey this week to discuss Syria. Last week, President Trump ordered the full and rapid withdrawal of the U.S. military from Syria, claiming the defeat of ISIS. That prompted the resignation of Defense Secretary Jim Mattis.
There has been a lot of phone traffic between Washington and Ankara over the last couple of days. About 10 days ago, U.S. President Donald Trump and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had a phone call in which the U.S. president apparently asked, "What about ISIS? Can you handle ISIS?" At which point the Turkish president said, "Yes, we can, as long as we have support from you." And that is how the decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria apparently came about. But this really is a tough position for the U.S.'s main allies on the ground in Syria in the fight against ISIS to be left in, because Turkey has been threatening to carry out a cross-border operation into Syria in an effort to push away or to expel those Kurdish fighters away from Turkish borders. Turkey views that Kurdish fighting force as an extension of what they view to be a terrorist group here at home. So the Kurds really are now in a very difficult difficult position. U.S. troops are, in fact, going to be going home very soon. But with Turkey picking up the mantle for the fight against ISIS now and very clearly having different priorities on the ground in Syria, how effectively will they actually be in the fight against ISIS is something we just don't know at this point.
Israel will hold early elections on April the 9th, 2019. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition agreed on Monday to dissolve the parliament.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says the security concerns he had last month have now been resolved. And so now's the time to call for early elections. But the reality is it was becoming increasingly evident that it's very hard to do business or get anything done in this parliament with such a small majority. In particular, he was struggling to pass a new bill that would extend the military draft to ultra-Orthodox Jewish students. Now, they've so far been exempt from military service, unlike the rest of the population, and it's been a long-running point of contention in Israeli society. But this year, Israel's High Court set a deadline of January 15th to pass the guidelines for enlisting ultra-Orthodox students. Now, on Monday, it became clear that Netanyahu's government didn't have the votes needed to meet the deadline, so elections are now set for April 9th. Benjamin Netanyahu is in his 4th term as prime minister. If he stays in office for a 5th term, he will become Israel's longest-serving leader. There is one issue, a cloud hanging over him, however, allegations of corruption that may cast a shadow over him during the elections. But for now, Netanyahu and the Likud party still enjoy much support, despite those allegations.
Here with the news this Christmas, we go for a break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with boxing. The first ever Oceania Boxing Championships held in Port Moresby recently saw debutant Henry Ummings take on the experienced Tony Weiser in the bantamweight title bout. Despite the age difference, the Bougainvillean lad gave it all to claim victory. Godwin Eki with the details.
In the first round, the Pacific gold medalist Henry Ummings, representing Bougainville and his first debut performance, saw him take on the ever-experienced Tony Weiser for the bantamweight title. While the round looked as a slow jab and punch from distance, the two fighters used the bout as a warm-up to gain momentum into the second round. Ummings, slowly collecting points from his jabs, proved his debut performance was not to be underestimated. Weiser throwing jabs at Ummings were blocked well with his rapid leg movements and fast jabs. Defending well, Ummings fighting back with upper and lower cuts to his opponent without any hesitation brought his opponent to a sleazy yet uncomfortable position. Weiser, trying his best to gain extra momentum, was not enough to stop the unstoppable young debutant from Bougainville that saw him punch through with a heavy lower cut to his opponent to get him onto the floor. Weiser, unable to continue to the fourth round, saw young Henry Ummings take the bantamweight title. The two fighters received gifts and trophy from sponsors. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The National Executive Council has reappointed Papua New Guinea Sports Foundation Chief Executive Officer Peter Chiamalili Jr. for another 4-year term. This was officially announced by Vice Minister for Sports and National Events, Wesley Ramenai, in Port Moresby. In expressing his satisfaction with the reappointment, Mr. Ramenai acknowledged the confidence in Mr. Chiamalili to head the foundation. Ramenai said the foundation has made change and Chiamalili should see that completed under his supervision. Chiamalili's contract is for the years 2018 to 2022. To Rugby League, the SPPNG Hunters will be looking to renew their Queensland Intra-Super Cup participation for the next 5 years. They are also with a coach who is off contract. The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League is yet to name the new coach for the Hunters for the season 2019 and beyond.
SPPNG Hunters fans and players are eager to find out who their coaching staff will be for the year 2019 and onwards. The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League Board had a meeting last week, but announcements will be made after Christmas whether they will be retaining head coach Michael Marum and his coaching staff.
The board met last night and Michael's contract, and there were a few other options that went before it, and we'll be making announcements in the next week regarding our new coaching, the new coaching structure and the new coaches appointed going forward next week.
Under coach Michael Marum, the SPPNG Hunters had made it to the final scene 3 times in 5 seasons, and last year in 2017 won the Queensland Intra-Super Cup Championship. Going forward though, in 2019, the Hunters, who have no feeder club affiliations to NRL clubs, will have to look at partnering with NRL clubs for training and coaching exchange programs.
We have reached out with a couple of clubs that we have relationships with. We are able to tap into the resources they have in terms of upskilling our coaches and referees, and exchange of players during the off-season and stuff. So initially we started with the Penrith Panthers. We've had a relationship with South Sydney, and even with Broncos starting last year, we've had a few exchanges.
But good news in 2019, the PNG RFL have announced that the SPPNG Hunters will be signing with 2 NRL clubs who will be helping in coaching and player improvement programs. PNG RFL are yet to reveal the names of the 2 clubs. They will be known after the management has finalized arrangements.
Currently we're talking to 2 clubs where we want to sign an MOU and get going on a permanent long-term relationship.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Still on Rugby League, having credible local rugby league competitions in the country is the key to having players competitive in the international market against countries in the Pacific for NRL contracts. This was highlighted by the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League.
Questions have been raised on rugby league forums and social media on why Papua New Guinea players are not being recruited extensively from local clubs and competitions into the NRL. NRL clubs seem to be more interested in our Malaysian neighbours and close competition, Fiji, to recruit players. According to the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League, the country's rugby league governing body, PNG just needs to build credibility in its competitions.
What the country's lacked in the past is credibility in the sport. People have always known that it's the national sport. People here are passionate. The players here are great. We have had the skill, talent, but from a structured competition pathway and program, we've never given confidence to these international clubs and competitions that we have that credibility in terms of when we say that we have a good player, he is actually good.
The SPPNG Hunters winning the Intra-Super Cup in 2017, successful campaigns by the PNG LNG Kumuls over the past 5 years has seen some credibility.
We have access to what the boys can do, and actually having our team participate at the elite level and compete and win the Intra-Super Cup, and the performance of the Kumuls against the international teams, it's opened eyes. Now people are starting to realize that, okay, it's not just a national sport, they can really play the sport and these players can compete. That has actually opened the door for more opportunities, and so long as we keep investing in the programs that we are doing and keep improving international results.
Having elite rugby league players in any competition depends solely on the pathway of the players through different levels of the game. With this in mind, the country's semi-professional competition, the Digicel Cup, is trying to improve the standard after PNG RFL took over the Papua New Guinea Rugby League competition, which manages the Digicel Cup.
Edwin Ipape from Snakes Tigers, went straight to play for the Q Cup without the Hunters. So the plan is to bring the Digicel Cup up to the same level as the Hunters, so that we provide greater opportunity for young boys, and hopefully the international market can come pick boys straight from the Digicel Cup. They will only do that when they have confidence in the competition, the standard and the level of football. So we're very mindful that our long-term objective is to strengthen the Digicel Cup. The Digicel Cup is the most important competition for rugby league growth in PNG.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere. True Kai Sports will continue after these messages.
True Kai Sports.
The Sydney to Hobart yacht race can be dangerous, but crews are expecting one of the smoothest runs in years tomorrow. The sunny skies and light winds also mean records are unlikely to tumble.
On board with the underdog. Super Yacht InfoTrack.
It's beautiful. It's actually relatively easy to steer when you got all these experts around you. Yeah. If it was me by myself, it would be a nightmare.
Just keep the main ease down. InfoTrack was 4th to cross the line in last year's Sydney Hobart, but got bumped to 24th place because of an admin error.
I'm sick of people reminding me to put my paperwork in this year. It's embarrassing.
Touching the trophy, apparently bad luck. The skippers of the 5 big boats from 2017 are ready for another rumble on the high seas.
We put the time in, the effort, and the boat's looking fantastic, so I'm actually very excited.
It was touch and go for a week or so for Hong Kong contender Scallywag. She busted a sail in a lead-up race, but InfoTrack saved the day.
I want to have a beer with him and thank him, Christian Beck. Wild Eight's offered as well, but the sails just didn't fit. It's good to have him in the race because the more Sumacs in the race, the better chance we have of beating someone.
Now it's time to put the toys away.
Because if you damage the asset in the final few days, maintaining and fixing it's pretty difficult.
That's the last thing these sailors want before the big race.
While many Kiwis are lucky enough to put their feet up on Christmas Day, the work doesn't always stop for sporting stars. News Hub caught up with a few of them to see what they're up to over the festive season.
It's usually pretty chilled, and I don't know, I might do a bit of training and just have a nice roast lamb for lunch and too much chocolate.
I head back home to Taranaki with my family and friends and have a good Christmas break up there, which will be really exciting. It's been a big year.
I go to Akaroa for a few days and then we'll get a bit of surfing over the New Year's time and come in fresh and with a bit of a tan for next year.
My job's just to eat the food, bro.
Coach gives me Christmas Day off, but then it's round to his house for a session on the ergo on Boxing Day.
It doesn't really stop, but try to get a few hours on Christmas to enjoy a bit of time with family and friends and I guess recharge the batteries.
I'll be up in Omaha with the rest of the fam, having a good time and just chilling out for a few days.
Myself and my wife have got a little V-dub camper. Our plans are very loose. We're just going to have a look where the weather's good, we can park it up, biking, running and be in the outdoors and just enjoy all the good stuff in New Zealand.
I spend so much time out of the country that it's just amazing to come home, turn the computer off, turn your phone off and spend a week when New Zealand shuts down and just hang out, just enjoy, relax. It's way more about that than presents and consumption and all this stuff. It's just about chilling and enjoying time with my family.
I love spending time with my family. Obviously not often that we're all together as a family. Obviously Mitch spends most of the time overseas, so just for us all to be together and on a nice warm day is perfect.
Quite strange, funny enough, coming back to New Zealand and having a hot Christmas, and it sort of doesn't seem quite so right, drinking mulled wine when it's 25 degrees outside.
Spend time with the family, open some presents and just have a mean feed. Merry Christmas, New Zealand. Stay safe out on the roads. Have a great time, great holiday, and we'll see you in 2019.
White Ferns veteran Sophie Devane is the talk of the Women's Big Bash after making history last night. She became the first player to get a double-double, that's a half-century, and the 5-wicket bag in the same WBBL match.
Well, she had to be the outstanding player of the match with bat and ball for the Strikers in Adelaide. After a sedate start, 29-year-old Sophie Devine struck the Melbourne Stars all around the ground.
That's not the spot to bowl to Sophie Devine.
Racing to 50, she smashed 5 sixes.
She goes again leg side. And you know where it's going, and this one's taken.
And although tiring in the South Australian heat, the century was in sight.
Down.
thrashes through the offside net.
Divine rode her luck.
I think that last over was ugly, ugly cricket. I said to Bridge, I'm just going to have a dip here, and it's probably the worst I've batted the whole bloody game.
On 95, with just 6 balls left in the T20 innings, she fell as Adelaide amassed 172.
Oh no, is that top edge? Can it cover? Go to the fielder? It can!
Brought on to bowl, Divine's first ball went for 6, but she responded by breaking a dangerous opening partnership and claiming 4 of the first 5 wickets.
It's fantastic. She's dug that in. Probably a little offline and a little unlucky, but she's had her fine leg set, very fine.
Ironically, the screamer of a catch from her Kiwi teammate Susie Bates wasn't from her bowling.
Unbelievable catch by the skipper.
Have you ever seen her that animated, take you?
Look, to be fair, she had to catch it. She's a basketballer, so if she didn't get the good hops on there, I think we would have tormented her forever. But like, that was a game changer momentum for us.
Divine finished with 5 for 41 as her Adelaide Strikers side won by 19 runs. Her new lucky charm may have helped.
I couldn't stop sweating either after the batting, so it was more for me to keep the sweat out of my face. So yeah, look, it could be here to stay.
Much needed divine inspiration for the previously struggling Strikers.
And finally, in Trukai Sports, a swim coach in the US is making waves not just for the results he gets, but for the way he achieves them. Theron Drake is blind, but while he can't see his swimmers' mistakes, he can hear them.
Ready? Up. At the Catawba College swim practice, we watch the assistant coach make subtle adjustments lane by lane, swimmer by swimmer.
You're turning here, and your feet are staggering. By doing that, you're going to lose a lot of power.
Here's what we learned. No one coaches collegiate swimming like Theron Drake.
I have what's called cortical blindness.
Totally blind. But Drake hears everything.
False start, lane 3.
Hands and feet hitting the water.
You don't go until they say go.
Which swimmer needs his coaching across the 6-lane pool?
No, it's just long. I have to listen to several strokes, where they're hitting in correlation to your breathing. So I'm basically creating a little math formula in my head, having to solve it like that.
Drake, now 25, went blind at 14.
Theron Drake is really looking good.
As a swimmer, he won 2 silver medals at the 2016 Paralympics in Rio. He heard Catawba needed a swim coach, but hiring a blind one took vision.
I was so drawn to it. I was so captivated by it.
Mike Sever is the head swim coach here.
Everything that I see, he hears. There may be things he hears I don't see.
Freshman swimmer Amalia Fontes saw something special at her first swim practice.
He knew every little detail about my strokes right away.
So enter here like a diver, not palm first. We have these ideas in life, right? Well, here's your box, fit in your box. Well, I don't like boxes. Awesome job today.
Theron Drake, helping the rest of us think outside the pool.
And that story ends Trukai Sports for this evening. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for Boxing Day.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, mostly fine for Alta with a top temperature of 32 degrees. 32 degrees and a shower or 2 expected in the other major centers in the region: Port Moresby, Daru, Kerama and Popondetta. To the Momasa region, a shower or 2 expected in Leh with a top temperature of 33 degrees, 20 degrees and showers and rain for Wau, a shower or 2 and 30 degrees for Wewak and Vanimo, 31 degrees and showers for Madang. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine and 32 degrees for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, 31 and mostly fine for Lorengau. And in the Highlands region, 24 degrees and showers expected in Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabeg, 25 degrees and showers for Goroka and Kundiawa.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a new sport and weather for today, Christmas Day, the 25th of December 2018. On behalf of the EMTV news team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.